What's up, YouTube fam? Back again. This is part 13. We're going to be doing some brakes this week and some carburetors and some rear end swap. I'm swapping out the 600 back end for the 1200 one, and it all goes really well. Do you believe me? No, I didn't think so. Well, it goes reasonably well. It's pretty straightforward swap, to be honest. All you do is swap most of the stuff over. The dog bones are longer on the 1200. What else is different? Oh, the chain's too short. If you're using a 600 chain, and what else is different? I think that's about it. It's a pretty straightforward swap, but in my case, it wasn't that straightforward because the last chump that had it apart must have used his air ratchet gun to tighten every bolt up to about 3,000 foot-pounds just to make life difficult for me, you know. But never mind, got there in the end. Just one issue with the shock to sort out. The shock has got no compression on it, it turns out. So it's like a pogo stick. It's basically just working off the spring. So that's not really very good, shall we say. So I'm looking for another shock at the minute. I was going to try the Hayabusa one. There's a bit in here about the Busa shock, but it's never going to work. The linkage is all the wrong flipping geometry for the back end, so I'm not even going to bother fanning about trying to get it to work because I hate working on back ends on motorcycles. As you'll probably find out if you watch this video. But the carbs went well. The brakes were horrendously bad. But and the video sounds this video sounds like it's just a montage of me moaning about everything. But it's not really. It's just that some of the stuff just does my nut in sometimes. But anyway, I'm blabbing on again. Have a seat, grab yourself a coffee, and watch the magic unfold. Back in the 600 today, back caliper came off. My God, I've never seen anything like it. This is the supposedly fully rebuilt bike, remember? Yeah. So fully rebuilt that the brake pad actually fell off. The brake pad actually fell off the fucking backing because it was so corroded to death. Yeah. I had to use a load of heat to get these bolts out and also to get the pins out. And I mean, how's this for a fully rebuild? What you do is you just aim the fucking paint at the caliper and spray everything. Look, fucking bolts and all. What a shit tip. Never mind, I'm not going to keep moaning about it. I'm just going to sort it out and we'll be happy again. But obviously it's going to have to be painted. Not that I'm going to video it because I think you've endured enough of my painting. So I'll get these pistons pushed out, and to do that, I'll get the compressor on. I've got a pistol thing that compresses it, that compressed air comes out of. I'll stick it in that hole, and I'll stick a spanner along here, and the pistons will come out to the spanner. And then once you split the calipers, it's a lot easier to get them out. But to be fair, it looks like the pistons are toast. I might be wrong, but they look pretty fucked to me. But not to worry, we'll sort it. You know, I'll need a new set of seals anyway, and undoubtedly some new bolts and stuff. But we'll sort it, and some new pads, but we'll sort it. It'll live again, not to worry. As you can see, it's just a little bit of a corroded mess down here at the brake department. Same there. I'm not even going to try and take that bolt out the swing arm that's holding the hugger thing on. I'm not even going to bother trying that. And same with that brake banjo there, that's going to need replaced. But if you look in there, steel swing arms and winters in Scotland don't really mix. The shock doesn't look that bad, to be fair. But yeah, that's just old bikes, isn't it? You know, all this crap, it's just old bikes. Bits of rust everywhere and whatnot. But this is going to be a hack. I'm not spending ages doing it. There's a shock in there. Doesn't look too bad, but That's not to say it's not leaking or anything. I haven't had a leak yet, to be fair, but if it was leaking, we would see some oil. Unless it's all leaked out already. Forks are going, so if anybody wants some Bandit 600 forks that need a fork seal, give me a shout. If anybody wants any back end bits out of Bandit 600, give me a shout. The tyres are pretty fucked, but the rest of it's alright. I managed to use the compressor to blow the pistons out. This one's blowing the seal out with it, as you can see. This one here doesn't look too bad, to be fair, but I'll have a look once we get the caliper split. I think this is the first time these things have actually been pushed out. The pistons were fucking well seized. I was up to about 4 bar pressure before they even moved, so I hate to think what's in there, but we'll have a look and see. If all else fails, I can get a punch down that hole and punch it out from the back if it's not going to come out from the front. We'll see how it goes though. I'll split the caliper halves and get them out. Right, that's the pistons out the calipers. The bores of these actually looks pretty good, to be honest. The seals are obviously gone, but the bores themselves don't look too bad. You know, little bit of grot in there. This one was the one that I just took out just now. It was more of a challenge, shall we say. I had to employ the hammer and the bloody punch into the back of that hole to get it to come out. But come out it did, and this is what we got to come out. I'll give it a clean up. It doesn't actually look that bad, to be fair. I'll give it a clean up on the wheel. See what like. This is the other one. It looks worse, to be fair, and it was easier to come out. Oh no, I think that's pretty fucked up there, I think. I'll give it a clean, see how far down that corrosion comes. But I'm feeling it with the back of my nail there, so now we'll see, you know. We shall see. I'll give it a clean up and see what like. I don't know what all that white shit is. But yeah, they don't look too bad overall. This is the one that was really stuck. You know. So let's see. No, seals are goosed, obviously. I'll give it a good clean up and see what like, and then we'll take it from there. But I guess I'll be ordering caliper parts this afternoon. I'll put these on the polishing wheel, and it turned out not actually that bad. There's always a bit of corrosion right at the edge there, but I'll be honest, that's not even going anywhere near the seal. A couple of minor little pock marks there. Maybe give that a bit more of a polish. There's a nick there. I really don't want to replace these. It's like 25 quid for a pair of bloody pistons, you know. But the thing is, if I don't replace them, put them back and it seizes again, then we're in big trouble. We'll have to just strip them all down and do it again. You know, there's a bit of corrosion on the edge there. You know, but it's very minimal, I would say. This is the other one. It's slightly better, I would say. I used some compound in the mop when I polished this one. That's maybe why. You know, there's a little mark there, but it's not worn or anything. That mark there, I can't even feel it with my fingers, so I don't know what that is. I think I might just reuse these, you know that, with some new seals. The seals are beyond ridiculous, you know. They're a bit crusty, salty, corroded, crap. So we definitely need a new set of seals. We need some new pins as well. This is holding the pin in. Look at the state of that. Yeah, pretty cool, eh? Pretty cool. And we'll need some brake pads, so I suppose I better go and bend my flexible friend again. The rest of the bits are in the degreaser. Just left them steep, and I'll obviously give them a good scrub-a-dub. But they're looking not that bad, to be fair. Obviously, they need cleaned and stuff, but they're not actually that bad. I didn't notice any seals in these. I wonder if he even had seals in it. Maybe, I haven't seen any seals when I took them apart, so I suspect he's maybe just put them back together without the fucking rubber seal, and maybe the paint's held them together. I don't know, but I'll give these a scrub, see what like, and we'll sand them down, give them a quick lick of paint, and then by that time my seals will arrive and we'll be rebuilding it. We're back in the 600. We were doing the carbs, taking them off for a clean. The way I do it is I will undo the throttle cable at the throttle. Yep. Obviously, to do that, you have to loosen the bolts on top. I'll show you in a minute which ones. But it's a lot easier than trying to take the cables out of the mechanism that's stuck away down there. Right, I already hate the Captain fucking Rebuilder, whatever his name was. Every single air screw is fucking stuck solid. Not one of them will move. Isn't that great? Yeah, great stuff. Not only that, see the state of this. Now he put it in like that. So would you not think to yourself, hold on a minute, that screw's fucked. I'll go and buy a new one and stick it in instead. No, fucking no. So now I'm going to have to get the grinder out and grind a slot in it and see if that'll slacken it. Hopefully it will. If it doesn't, then, well, God knows what we're going to do, drill it out or something. But yeah, joys of second-hand bikes, eh? Anyway, I've slackened off. I haven't taken off anything yet. Slackened off the float bowls, so let's have a look and see how much filth is inside them. Oh my God. They're pretty bloody spotless, I would say. That's good. Oh, is that some shite down the bottom there? Yes, I think it probably is. Because what I did was I turned the carbs upside down to empty them. So I'll take the floats out, I'll take the needle valves out, take the main jets out, pilot jets out, clean it all, clean the bowl, put it all back together, and hopefully the air jets are somewhere near. The air mixture, should I say, is somewhere near, because there's no way they're moving, and there's no way I'm taking these things to an engineering shop. The last time they charged me like 80 quid to machine out one of them, so that's just not fucking happening. If anything, I'd buy another set of carbs, but if you buy another set of carbs, chances are they're going to be as bad as these, So anyway, that's number one. What's number two like? What's behind the doors? A little bit of crap in there. I've got my carb box out, as you can see. Handy things to have. This one won't come off because the screw's fucked. This one, yeah, it's quite clean as well. Any shite in there? Doesn't look too bad, to be fair. But like I say, I'll take all these float needles out. But first of all, I'm going to get grinder out, cut a slot in this screw and see if it'll come out. I will not be beaten. It's out, however, that's as close as I've come to fucking ruining it. As you can see, I ground down and I wasn't getting much of a hold on it with the screwdriver, so I thought I'll just go down a little bit further. So of course I went down a little bit further and fucking split the screw in half, didn't I? So I got the persuader and the punch, wherever it is, over there somewhere. Persuader and the punch. I managed to punch it round just to start slackening it. And then I got my needle nose pliers and just unscrewed it. So that was a good save. However, that won't be going back on. That'll be going straight to the bin where it should have been the first time. It was bloody chewed up. Right, let's see what this one's got in store. A little bit of filth, not too bad, to be fair. They're all pretty clean, I'll be honest. But like I say, I'm going to take everything out anyway and clean it, check it, because it's probably not, it's been sitting for 2 years, this bike, So I'd rather just make sure that everything's all right before I press the button to start it up again. It has been run, to be honest. I took it around the block when I bought it, but the fuel was that old and stinking that I didn't really want to put any more through the carbs in case there was any crap in the tank. Thankfully, there wasn't any crap in the tank because the filters were clear. But there's a little bit of crap in the carbs here, but we'll soon strip that out and give it a clean, stick them back together and put them back in the bike. So we've got the mains and the pilot jets out, that's them in the bottom row. And that corresponds to the carbs as they sit. Next up, we're going to take the floats out and the needle in here. And we'll have a look at them and see what like they are. I can't express enough how much you need to have the proper screwdrivers for this job. Because these things are just brass, these jets are just brass, and it's so easy to fuck up the ends of them by using a too small screwdriver or whatever. So make sure your screwdriver's a tight fit in the flipping jet slot before you start unscrewing it, especially with your pilots, right? This is my pilot jet screwdriver. It's exactly the size to fit into the pilots. If you fuck these up down here, you're in a world of pain. You really are. It's just an absolute fucking nightmare. They won't come out unless you machine them out, and you don't want to be doing that. So get yourself a decent set of screwdrivers and use them. JIS screwdrivers, obviously for the screws, because it's Japanese industry standard screws that hold these float bowls on. So get a JIS screwdriver. I used to just use Phillips. See, when I bought one of these, it was like a bloody revelation. It was like, Christ, you don't actually have to like put your whole body weight into a tight screw to unscrew it, because it actually fits the head properly, Like these are built for these screws, so there's absolutely zero slack. When you that's me trying to turn that, zero slack in that thing. Let's try it with Phillips, shall we? There's not a lot, but there's a lot more than there is with the bloody GIS. Because it's a Phillips, it's not a GIS, and it's a GIS screw. So get yourself the right screwdrivers. Makes your life so much easier. Right, to get your floats off, there's a pin that goes through here. What you need to do is to get yourself a small screwdriver or something along that lines, and push the pin. You can just see it at the top there. Push that pin through like so, till it starts sticking out the other side. Then you get your needle nose pliers. I can't even see what I'm doing here. And then just pull it out like so. What's it sticking on now? There, that's that out. Okay, keep it safe. And then your float, wherever it may be, these floats will just lift off. And as you can see, there's a needle attached to the bottom of it. You want to check that needle against a decent light source to check that there's no nicks or indentations in the side of that pointy part of it. Yeah, because if there is, you need to replace it because it'll leak. So I'll stick that float there just now. Now that we get the floats out, we can get a better look down. These are actually pretty clean. I'm quite surprised considering how grotty the outside are. But this is where your needle sits into this brass thing here. There's like a rubber in there. You can take that out and clean it as well if you like. I'll probably do that and then spray some carb cleaner down the holes just to make sure that all the passageways are clear. Not quite sure, if I'm honest, what that one is, what this thing is here. Maybe somebody knows in the comments, you can let me know. I've no idea what that does, and I'll just be straight up with you. So, I'm no expert mechanic, that's for sure. I've just taught myself over the years of fannying about with bikes. But yeah, give your carbs a good clean, stick them back together, check that everything's alright. Once you've done the bottom part, turn them over, take the diaphragms out. I'll show you that later. These things here are your slides, and you can check the diaphragms by just pushing them up and they shouldn't like snap back down. They should be like in a soft sort of cushioning way back down, if you like that, you know. There's a bit of resistance to them going back down. Now I'm going to try and tackle these. I wonder if there's any fucking Mullard screws on it. Yeah, there's a few ropey looking ones anyway. But they should all come off okay. I'll come back when I've got them all off and we'll see what the diaphragms look like. Here's the diaphragms. They locate into a milled out groove around the perimeter, and you need to make sure they're actually seated in that. Yeah, this is your spring. That can come out. The top's over there. And then what to do is to very gently go around the edges and just make sure it's not stuck, because you can rip them quite easily, these things. And then once you get them unstuck, you can take out the diaphragm, which has a needle in it. That's a needle in the bottom there. So yeah, and that's your carb slide that I'm holding in my hands here. It looks pretty worn, to be fair. There's a bit of wear on it, but as long as it's still sliding up and down, that's all that you really want to worry about. So I'll check that these are on the right settings. I'm pretty sure they will be, because the bike ran okay, to be honest. But I'll just check it since I'm in here anyway. Like I say, they come out of that hole there, push them up, and there'll be a clip on your needle. It's usually around midway, and there'll also be that, like you can see in there, I'm not sure you can see it or not, there's like a white spacer. I'll take one out and show you. That'll be the easiest option. Okay, well, looks like these are not of the clip variety. They look like they're just a standard size that you have to either lick it or lump it. There's no adjustment on them for feeling. And this is the bit that goes on top of that thing there. It goes on top like that. This needle goes inside there, then it goes in there, through the hole at the bottom, through that hole in the centre. The other one's an air hole for returning the slide up to the top. And then it goes into your emulsion tube, which is down there, that brass circular tube. And for it, you'll probably know how it works anyway, but you can see it's got a chamfer on it. And as this lifts up, it lets more fuel through the emulsion tube to come into the venturi to go into the engine. So check these for wear round about the top area here, where they'll go through the slide, because they can vibrate, you know, and it can wear in the needle. It can with the 1200s anyway. These don't look like they've got any wear at all on them, to be honest. So what I'll do is I'll just put this back because it's fine. Put this back because it's fine, and then we'll go on and check all the rest of them. Okay, I'm not going to film all that because it's exactly the same as what I've just showed you. Also, when you put this back together, make sure the spring's in the centre. Oh, there's like a little pivot, a little spout thing that the spring sits into. It's not a spout, I kind of think the name, a little bit of tubing. And then once you've done it, you tightened it down. Make sure your diaphragm is in the groove properly, because they can stretch as well and they can shrink, so it might be too large. You might need to like push it in gently, and then once you've tightened it up, you can do your old test again. Make sure that it's not like immediately snapping back down. That shows you that the diaphragm's seated. Okay, so like I say, I'll go and do the rest. I'll be back in a bit. So I've given them a clean with the carb cleaner into the bowls, into the jet passageways, and also into these. The one on the right goes to the pilot, I believe. The one in the centre, I'm not sure where it goes. It goes somewhere in there, but you've got to make sure they're clear and running, yeah? But spray some through until you see it coming out of the pilot hole on the right hand side. You don't need to spray this or anything, or the slides or any of that. And the other bits you need to spray are in there if they're covered, if they're full of crap, and in here if they're full of crap. Also put a spray down here just to clean out any muck that might be lingering in the passageways in there, you know. So now we'll just put them back together. We'll check the jets. spray the jets as well before we put them back in, especially the pilots, because they can be prone to getting gummed up with crap. The main jets, if you hold them up to the light, you'll be able to see, but see the hole in them, They don't need cleaned generally. But the pilots will possibly need cleaned. I'll have a look. If they need cleaned, they'll get cleaned. Then I'll put it back. I'll check the float heights, put the floats back in, put the pins back in the same way they came out, which is left to right. And then stick them back in the bike and hope that these air screws don't need adjusted. But like I say, it ran fine before, so I can't see that it should. But I would like to have the option to be able to adjust them. I'll maybe see if I can soak them overnight and see if I can get them moving. Right, I'm just waiting to start putting this back end together when I realised I've got a massive issue, shall we say. My caliper's getting rebuilt at the minute. It's in the kitchen. I've just finished painting it and clear coating it. But I bought this shock. I like it. Good nick in it. I thought I'll treat myself to a decent shock. So this came from eBay, but you can see the problem, can't you? This end here should have a fork on it. Bollocks. So I am going to have to look for an alternative solution. I've got a Hayabusa shock, but I'll have to check the length of it. And I've also got a couple of shocks in the stash. I'll go and grab a hold of them and see which one looks like it might fit. Really pissed off because that's a really tidy condition shock, And now it's just a big lead weight. Back to eBay. This is the big shed of shit. I've got a little box of spares here. I'll have a look through these, see if I can pick up something. I've just tidied up this place as well, so it could be bloody anywhere. And I'm also looking for some small boxes I had before that had various bits in. The joys, Well, here's my box of shitty old shocks. Mostly old slingshot stuff, but I mean it's decent enough nick. I guess I could put that on. No idea what that's off. But I think we have a winner, and it's this EMC. Stick it up on the bench, get a look at it. EMC something or other. Looks like it's got rebounding on it, or preload. Yeah, this'll do. I'm really fucked off. Really annoyed about the GSXR one not fitting. This needs a clean up, obviously. It's been sitting under that bench for years. I bought it off a guy who'd had it on a Cougar custom frame, a GSXR engine in it. I bought the engine off him as well, and it's been sitting there for years, so I don't know if it'll work or not. I'll measure it centre to centre. In fact, I'll do that since I'm here. Approximately. I'll just go very approximately, obviously. Shit. So, it looks to be about 320, 330. I need a tape because that rule goes up to 300. I'm still looking for other stuff. God knows where it is. But I was convinced I had a Hayabusa shock. And I'm still convinced I've got a Hayabusa shock. I don't think I sold it. I just don't know where the hell it is. So I'm going to have a hunt for that. But this is the leading contender if I fail to find the Busa one. I think the Busa one might be too long. It's 330. And the Bandit one's about 310, I think. We'll see. I'll see if I can find the bloody thing first. I'm trying to figure out what the shock came off. So I did a bit of digging on the internet. Like I say, it's an EMC racing shock. This is the closest one I could find, with a single adjuster on the top. 550 flipping euros. Unbelievable, So it must have cost a few £100 when it was new. So that's a bonus. Can't find the Busa shock. I've looked everywhere. I reckon I sold it. because it's not in the places that it would have been if I hadn't sold it. So that's just life. So we're using this. I'm going to use this in my 600 Bandit, I've decided. Well, the 600 that's getting the 1200 front and back end, and I'll buy a half decent one for my nice schooly baby. More gems from Billy Bodger. I just sorted out these carb clips. See the middle pair? You had them in the groove behind where they need to be, so it wouldn't have actually been gripping anything. Because the screw was up the top here, and it would have hit the carb rail if it was in the right place. So rather than just turn them back so you can tighten them from underneath, Mr. Flippin' Total Rebuild decided just to put them in the back one and tighten them up a bit, so it wasn't actually holding in. And I'm surprised the thing ran at all with the amount of air it must have been sucking in. However, I also had a look at the filter. It's filthy. I've already blown out loads of bits of leaves and all sorts of garbage out of it. It actually looks quite clean in the camera, but it is dirty, believe me. You know, I'll give it another blow with the fan. I mean, it's not that bad that it needs replaced, but I don't think it was new when it was rebuilt, put it that way. But we'll get this Carbs back on. Better not forget the vents. And then we'll get on with the next part of the project, which is taking this back end off. So like I say, we've got the Carbs back on. I'm just sorting out the airbox. It was full of all manner of shit in the bottom of it there, like some greasy stuff that, however, has been cleaned out some WD-40. All the clips are on now. Surprisingly easy to get the airbox rubbers onto these Carbs compared to the 1200. To be honest, they just slid on. Choke cable was a pain in the hole. I had to take it out off at the handlebar. Throttle cables are back on. Better check they're actually working. They're not returning very well. Well, that's because I haven't fucking adjusted it, is it? Dick. So obviously when you put your throttle cables back on, what I usually do is I pull this out just to get the cable onto the throttle end. Of course I put it back and I haven't tightened the bloody thing up. That's why the throttle isn't pinging back. So I'll do that just now, and then I'll get on the swing arm. I'll take the swing arm out. What I'm going to do is I'll take the wheel out first, just to make life easier. Take the wheel off, take the chain off, and then just hope that these bolts, the swing arm pivot, aren't like rusted to death, or I'm sure they won't be if Mr. Rebuild's been rebuilding it, at least recently. I'll take the wheel out and then I'll get the swing arm off and have a look and see what orders await in the linkage stakes. The swing arm's in to go by. It's not going to be pretty, but we'll get there. We've got the wheel out finally. It was tightened to about 3 million foot-pounds, but what I did was, because I'm on my own here, I stuck these bricks, I set these bricks up so that the socket was sitting on top of the bricks, like so. So that when I was turning it from this side, it was the bricks was stopping that from slipping off. That was after fucking taking my chin off of this a few times, and when this end bloody slipped when I was trying to hold on to the socket on this side and the socket on this side, you know, because I wasn't far enough round at an angle to get a good hold on it. And if you look, it's just a narrow little bolt. So I'm fairly certain the 1200 spindle's different. Not sure if I've got one or not yet, but I'm going to take this out anyway because it's coming out. The chain's intact. Chain might live again, I'm not sure. I'll see what size it is and how many links and see if it marries up to the 1200. So next one is to get these caps off at the front on both sides. A pick will do that. And then take the spindle off, and also you can see in there down the bottom the suspension bolts That needs to come off. Here's the bottom one or the top one. I'll do whichever one's easiest. And then we can get this rusty pile of crap out of there and throw it in the skip where it belongs. Right, we've got the spindle out at the front of the swing arm. We've got the shock hand bolted from the bottom. When you're punching this out, your punch, make sure you don't use a punch that fits inside that friggin' hole. Luckily, because I hadn't even looked to check about the hole in it, I just started flipping punching it through, and the punch got stuck in the end of the hole, but thankfully the punch was a smaller diameter than the spindle, so I just punched it right the way through. Then I stuck this in the vise and gave it a chap to get it off the end, so, you know, fuck ups and all. Hey ho. Right, I think I'll have to take this top bolt off as well. I'm going to get the grinder out and cut this fucking abomination off, because I'm not fucking about trying to unscrew rusted in screws that have been there for years. So I'll do that and then we'll finally get the swinging arm out. Okay. Well, that's the abomination out, thankfully. Finally. Every bolt fought me all the way for this to get this thing out. And I've still got out the bottom linkage. Oh, great. I think that shock's destined for the bin, to be honest. I'll use the blue one in here, the EMC or whatever it's called. I need to get that front linkage bolt off. I don't know if the linkages are the same, but I'll put a question on old school, somebody will know. Probably fat bloke. The tie rods, I'm not sure if they're the same either. I think they're different, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'll go and check, and then we'll get the 1200 back end in. But yeah, that's been a fucking pain in my arsehole all day long. So we'll give it a kick to make us feel better. Back wheel sitting there for the 600. I'm not sure. No, the Bandit one's obviously wider, isn't it? So, but I think the brake caliper hanger and the brake caliper are the same. Obviously, I need to paint my brake caliper. Probably need to paint the hanger as well, but hey ho. But we're not concerned with that today. I think we've done enough painting to last us a fucking lifetime. So we'll get these linkages out and I'll go and ask on old school. And that'll probably determine whether I try and unbolt them, because I'm sure the guy must have used an air wrench or something set to about 10 billion foot-pounds to tighten everything up, because it's all been an absolute friggin' nightmare to get off. I don't know why folk do this, you know. There's things called torque wrenches and they tell you when to stop, but this previous total rebuild dude obviously didn't know where to stop. However, I'm surprised he didn't fucking snap the bolts, were that tight. So the linkage is out. I'm not sure if I showed it before, but it was absolutely caked in crap. The bushings and the linkage, they're not the worst I've ever seen, but they could probably do a renewing, to be honest, you know. There's one. You can see the bearing witness marks on it, yeah. It's not the finest, shall we say. But I'm not replacing them because I've spent enough money on this bike. I'm just going to repack them with grease. They're not that bad that they definitely need replaced, you know what I'm saying? The middle ones are fine. This end one's alright. That end one's a little bit ropey, but well, we'll just live with it. And I'll repack them with grease and I'll refit it with the 1200 arm. The tie rods, as you can see, the 600 ones are on the right, the 1200 on the left. 1200 ones are a fair bit beefier and they're also longer, so that'll do that. And there's my spindle. I just had all this stuff inside because I was putting it through my parts washer, aka my truck wash full of water in my washing up basin. I gave the shock a quick clean as well. Cleaned up a little bit, not much to be fair. And a set of risers I got off a guy from old school called Bo. Thanks for that. He also supplied the tie rods. Thanks for that too. So now I just got to grease these up, grease up the bearings inside here, put the bushings back in, and then we'll stick this back in the 600. But before that, I'm going to get the pressure washer out and I'm going to blast all the crap out the back area of the engine. I'll show you. This is the back end that's going into it. This is the old back end off my Z. It's got a caliper on it, that's even better. So I've got a spare back caliper now. So, has it got linkages on it? No. So I'll put the linkages on here, and then we'll stick this into the 600, okay? It could probably do painting and all that, but I'm not going to. It'll just have to do as it is. So that caliper looks passable, presentable. It's covered in blooming overspray from when I was painting beside it, so I'll give it a quick wipe down once it's in. But we'll get it in place and then we can worry about it later. As is the way of these things, and I do them anyway. And you see the problem is here. The shock's hitting the linkage, and you'll be able to see it's not anywhere near the hole. Fuck. So I can either grind down that collar or fit another shock, I guess. Fit the Bandit shock back in, maybe. I don't know. I'll maybe just do that if it's easier, it'll work. I've got some GSXR shocks. I wonder if they'd be any better than the Bandit one. Probably not, to be fair, but that's a bit of a bastard. I don't think it needs much ground out of it. I don't want to ground anything out of the linkage, because they're not exactly the widest things anyway. I could possibly grind an angle on the bottom of that adjuster on the underside of the shock. That might give me just enough to get the shock on. We'll see. I'll take it out and I'll give it a shot. Nothing to lose, have I? Well, hey, that's the back end in. I didn't film a lot of it because YouTube doesn't like swearing. So I had to shave a tiny bit off the bottom of the shock to get it to clear the linkage. But I mean a tiny, it was just a chamfer on the edge of the adjuster. It's not affecting the shock spring or the shock itself. It's just basically one side. I put a 45 degree on it just to get it to fit. Because either that or putting the Bandit shock in, I wasn't doing that again. So we have a nice blue shock. Woohoo! And the wheel's almost in. I just a way to put the spindle through once I get this caliper lined up with the disc and get the pads in. So that's it. Part of it done. The back end's completed, like I just told you. I've put the final caliper on and tightened up the spindle, tightened up the front axle that I forgot to tighten up, tightened up the tie rods. I've not put the brake line in because I'm changing it. I'm not using that. Look at the state of it. That's not going on my bike. No danger. Pile of shite. So that can go in the bin. I'd take the pegs off to get this bolt in for the flipping tie rods. And I couldn't get it in from the other side either because obviously the pegs are on the other side the same. Anyway, that was no hardship really. But yeah, I'm quite happy with that now. Suspension should be a lot better. Bigger tyre should make it a lot handier in the bends. Here's my knees cracking because I've been on my knees all day, even though my knees are absolutely trolleyed. God, it sounds like me having a moan in this video, doesn't it? But I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of mechanicking on bikes. I'd much rather paint them, to be honest. At least I enjoy the painting. I don't really enjoy mechanicking. However, this weekend we've done a fair bit. We've rebuilt the back caliper, not that one, the other one. Rebuilt the carbs, cleaned out all the carbs, cleaned out all the airbox, cleaned out all the jets. Everything else in the carbs have been done. So next week, once my head bearings arrive, this front end will be going and we'll have the Bandit 12 front end in. This is actually the old Bandit wheel out my Z. Well, the wheel, the disc and the sprocket, etc. So unfortunately the sprockets are a 525 and the chain's too short anyway. So now I have to either get another sprocket and a longer chain or something along that lines, or maybe get a front 525 and get a 525 chain. I'm undecided yet, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. It's not that important at the moment. What else can I tell you about? Not a lot really. That's been about it this weekend. Got a bit done, so I'm quite happy. It's just while I'm waiting for headstock bearings for my other Bandit. Then I'll be able to get the frame on it, get the frame sorted. Want to look at the frame now that it's all cured properly. I love it. I honestly think it looks fantastic. And I'd paint another frame with it again through the spray gun, without a shadow of a doubt. I actually wasn't going to strip this one down to the frame to paint it, but if I was, I'd be using that Raptor on it. I think it's brilliant stuff. And I mean, you can see the crappy paint that he's had on it before, flaking off all over the shop. But, well, I'll just live with it. I also noticed today as well, when I was in about here, it looks like there's been, maybe not, I did think it looked like, I think what it is just the paint coming through, because it has been painted, obviously repainted badly, just like everything else was done badly. But you can see it flaking off that thing there off my nail. That's how well it's been painted. Pretty awesome, eh? But I'm not painting the engine, and I'm not painting the frame. What I might do is I might run around in it, see what like it is as a 600. I know they're not the most powerful things out there, but if I do come across like a cheap GSXR 750 engine or a Bandit 12 engine, or I might just pop that in there instead. But next week it's the forks, so that'll be something to look forward to. But I think I've done alright for the weekend with what I've done, to be honest. So I'm quite happy with that. So I'll leave you at that. Leave you there, and I'll go and tidy up all this crap, and always double check all your bolts are tight before you put anything away. That's my words of advice. Alright, cheers. This is my selection of Buckshee brake lines that I've got, and I think I'm going to go with this one. No idea what it was off, and it's been badly painted at some point in its life. Don't know if you can see that, but there's like black paint on it that's chipping all over the shop, but I'm not bothered. The only reason I'm choosing it is because it's got the rubbers that'll fit into the swinging arm, and that is it. And hopefully it's going to be the right length. If it's not, one of these will be. I've got some fronts and rears. I'm going to use these Goodridge fronts. In fact, I might be as well keeping it all the same and using the Goodridge rear as well, would I? Because these come off a Bandit apparently, but they're a bit used, Not that I'm worried. Like I say, it's not going to be any show queen, this one. So I'll see if this black one fits. If it does, I'll use it. If it doesn't, I'll use one of them and just I'll split these rubbers and transfer them over to the other lines. So I'll get rid of this rusty old pile of scrap. So now how to do that next, but the back end's all tied up now, so well, we have a problem. Let me just demonstrate. The suspension has got 0 rebound on it. What a bastard. So all that work yesterday, change the shock, it's going to have to be changed again. Great, just what I wanted. I don't even know what shock I can put in it now. It's either that old crappy Bandit one, or I have to buy one, more expense. Bloody bikes. And another problem, as you can see, the can's hitting the bloody swing arm. That's not that hard to rectify, to be honest, because a bit of brute force will pull it out. I will put it on the other side of the mount, down here, pull it out, heat it up, pull it out, and that should sort that. But that shock not fitting's a pain in my arse. God, I was really intent on using it as well, you know. Oh well, that's just the way things go. I think I might have a GSX harsh shock. I'll go and have a look. So yeah, after all that work yesterday, it's like a bloody pogo stick. I don't know what to do. I found a GSX harsh shock in the shed, but it looks pretty grim. It's got pitting in the shaft. That's not going to last long, is it? Let's be honest. Oh man. So I might be forced to put that old pile of scrap back in it. Don't really want to. Hear that, have a look online, see if there's any cheap shocks, and they go, bugger. I'm going to crack on with the front end today though. I'm not getting back down on my knees to do the back end because my knees are killing me. So I'll do the front end because a lot of that's higher up, you know. So I'll go and get some stands out, set them up, and then we can start on that, and that'll cheer me up mildly. Morning viewers, we're back again. We're taking the front end off today. Hopefully it'll go a bit better in the back end with the suspension bows, but we'll not talk about that. How you do that is take your top bolts off your handlebars so that you can get access to the big bolt that sits in the middle here. Not even bolt, what am I talking about? Disconnect your ignition and the blue connector, which I think is the speedo probably. Yep, that blue connector for the speedo, and this green one. I can't remember how the hell these come apart. I'll have to rack my brains, or because there's a couple of little tabs. I'm not sure if they've been broken or what. It's kind of hard to tell. And I also found some other little joys under there. I've no idea what this is from. This was like tucked under the headstock here as if it was going somewhere, but of course it was just a random end. Another end had been cut off and just taped up and chopped, obviously, as you do. Anyway, I have no idea what that's of. Just another to add to the catalogue of Billy Bodger's brilliance. Anyway, so like I say, slacken your pinch bolts for your yoke and it'll lift off. Handlebars off, I just put them in the back. Then you've got a castellated nut on the top here. You'll need a C spanner, which is one of them. Just slacken it off. And then all I'm going to do is slacken this off. I've taken the front wheel off already. It's just the two pinch bolts down the bottom. And then unscrew the spindle. Also disconnect the speedo drive. I've started this without you. I should have probably started with you to start, but anyway, this is where we're at. And like I say, when I undo this castellated nut, this bottom yoke's just going to fall out. So once it falls out, I'm going to sort out the wiring, disconnect that ignition, and I'll maybe get some tape in here and tape up the bodgedness whilst I'm at it. And then we'll get the forks off and get the new forks in. Should be a fairly straightforward thing to do because apparently the bearings are the same, top and bottom, so that's good. So we'll do that. I'll get this nut off, get the forks out, and then you can rejoin me once I've sorted stuff out a little bit. But that's the basics of it. I'm sure you all know how to take off front ends, but if you don't, then that's how you do it, okay? That's the forks off. Looks like he's greased the bearings up to look reasonably fresh, to be honest. So that's a good thing. At least he greased the head bearings. This is a top bearing. I'd usually just sit these in here. It's alright as well. It's getting reused. I'm going to give it a clean and I'll repack it with grease and then we'll reuse that. I better put it somewhere safe. Here's my safe place. Over here somewhere all day. Stick that on the wall. And what I'm going to do is, instead of trying to fanny about with that green connector, which has proven quite difficult to get out, to be fair, I don't know if the pins have been broken off in it or something, I'm just going to disconnect the ignition switch They usually have like tamper-proof bolts in them, but this one's just got Allen-headed bolts. You can just see them in there. So I'll just undo the ignition, take it out, and swap it onto the new yoke. Same with the clocks, they'll just swap over as well. Happy days, happy days. I hope they'll swap over. I've not actually checked, because my top yoke's different to this one. So I don't know if the faired ones, the unfaired ones are different. Probably are, knowing my bloody luck. But we'll find out, I suppose, in a way, but it's not an insurmountable problem. Right, we get another setback. It's my own fault, I should have checked. These are the yokes that came out of my Z when it had a Bandit front end on it. And of course the bottom bearing's a different bloody size, isn't it? Oh, god damn it. Bandit one's bigger, so there's no point in putting that 1200 front end with that bearing in. I'm going to have to go and order some bloody bearings. So in the meantime, I'm just going to throw it back together with 600 forks in it, and then we'll order up a bearing and start again. Great. It's a fantastic day as well. Look at that, a blue sky in the wastelands of northern Scotland. So that's a bit of a bummer, I must admit. I'm a bit hacked with that. But it's my own fault, I should have checked. Damn it. I'll sussed out what all this masked up bullshit was behind the headstock. It looks like it's part of the alarm system, just going by those wires. Nice connector though, eh? Oof, don't get that quality every day of the week. Yeah. Saying that, he did have tape around it in his defence. So, yeah, nothing to worry about, I suspect. The green and brown and the white here, I'll check the wiring diagrams, see if they're part of the loom that need to be looked at, because there's bits of tape all over the shop. Up the front, you know. There's more tape than you can shake a stick at, really. You know, there's been a lot of things that he's been buggering about with in here. So I'll maybe unwrap that and see what lies beneath. Anyway, like I say, front end's been put on hold. That's as far as I'm going. I'm not even putting the top yoke on because it's not lining up very easily. So rather than damage the stem, I'm just going to wheel it around the back and wait till my bearings arrived. But a bit hacked off because it's a beautiful day. But saying that, I guess I can go out and run the Z since it's such a nice day. And I haven't been out in it in at least 2 weeks. That's no use, is it? So I'll leave you with that. That'll do this week's episode. I'm going to sort out a shock for the back to replace that pogo stick with, and I'm going to sort out my headstock bearings. We'll film that in the next episode for you, and we'll call it a day at that. So thanks for viewing, thanks for watching, thanks for liking. I appreciate your support. Cheers, y'all. So now we need to remove these bearings. I tried removing them with the punch. That didn't work, it just broke the cage up. All the bearings fell out. So now we're getting serious. This method's never failed me yet, and it was a guy from Suzuki GB who told me about it. He says, get yourself a cold chisel, sharpen the point of it, which I've done. I've just ground a point into it. And then he says, stick it down inside here, get your big friend Henry the lump hammer, give it a good bash, and it'll come out. And it's never failed yet, so touch wood, hammer on standby. Let's get some aggression on the go. And just like that, it was off. I'll have to dress down a little bit of this back bit here. Where are we? I'll just file it down. It's because it's alloy, obviously it's softer. But do it to the back of your yoke and then you won't see it. Nobody will see it. Nobody will know! And then your new one just slides on, obviously. But I don't have one. Now, because I find myself at a bit of a loose end, because I've no bearings, I'm going to get the poly disc out and I'm going to grind all this rust and crap off my front stand and repaint it. I've also got a few other bits and pieces to do. I've got the yokes to do for my good bandit, shall we call it. And what else have I got to do? Something else, I can't remember. The risers and with the brake calipers, get them to paint as well. So way to do that. I'm not going to film it. You've seen enough painting, surely. Okay, but that's today's entertainment. Lunch with the custom bike builder. Coffee, flowery mug, as per. 2 eggs, 2 lard sausage, beans, 2 bacon. Brown sauce optional. Just painting these few bits and bobs. I mean, how bored am I? I'm painting my bloody paddock stand. Well, it'll keep it, stop it from rusting. It's sitting outside beside the salty North Sea. Right, I'm going to hit these with Raptor next. They should be dry enough, hopefully. Right, I'm trying to see about salvaging something out of this. This is a Hayabusa linkage. The sizes are pretty radically different to the Bandit one. You can see there just by looking at it, the Bandit one's much flatter in profile. This one's more triangular in profile. Also, the dog bones on the Hayabusa, they are, what size are they? 120 millimeters, and the ones on the Bandit are all measurements approximate. Don't take any of this as read, by the way, whatever you do. This is the Bandit 600 ones, by the way. They are approximately 170, I would guess. 170 centres, so they're 50mm longer than the Busa ones. I can't see it. This is going to work too well, to be honest, but I don't know if I want to change it all out and then discover it's still a bloody nightmare, or save myself the bother and just get a shock that's the right length. I'm erring towards the correct length shock, to be honest with you. But we'll get on to that in the next one, the next video, because I'm going to call it a day at that. My bearings are going to take a few days to come in. I might wait until the bearings come in and stick the front end on, and that'll be all the suspension on the 600 done, I guess. But well, apart from the back shock, which is obviously a bit of a nightmare. But yeah, I can't see that that's going to work, to be honest. Just looking at it, I mean, this is the sizes here. You've got, on the Hayabusa, dog bones are 120. These ones are about 170, I think they said. You get 44, 65, and 115. You get 60, 75, and 100. So, I can't see it, personally. Maybe I'm just being negative, or maybe I'm just needing to get the right size bloody shock. Anyway, I'll leave it at that for now. I'll come back when I've got something that's going to work. I've also got GSXR shocks, but they're kind of old and pretty worn, to be honest. I don't really fancy using them. I'd sooner spend 40 quid on a second-hand one, a GSXR K series that's going to fit. But the 750s aren't. I think they're too long. They're about 130 as well as the Hayabusa, so I'll have to find one. I think it's from a K7, K8, 1000. They're slightly shorter. Or CBR 1000RR. They're shorter. CBR 600RR. I'm not sure on the length of them, to be honest. But there are options, but it's just finding one that's going to be the right length, you know. So I can't see the Busa going in personally, but I am pretty skint, and I don't really have a spare 50 quid to buy a shock with, because I've just bought a blooming shock from my other Bandit. So, I don't know. I've got plenty of time in my hands. I suppose I could throw the Hayabusa one in and see what it looks like. But I suspect it'll probably raise the seat to about flipping 4 feet high. We'll see. Right, there's some Raptor for you. The brake calipers, I've taken all the masking off before it sets, obviously. I did my risers, my brake calipers, and the yokes. Yokes turned out quite smooth, to be fair, but oh well, that'll look alright. Leave that a week to cure, get some bearings on it. We'll be laughing all the way to the Bandit bank. So that's part 13 done and dusted. I I think I've got some paint still on my head there. Oh well, never mind. It'll come off a bit of thinners. Anyway, that's part 13 and done and dusted. Hopefully the next time we'll get the front end swapped. I'm waiting for some bearings, steering head bearings for it. And we'll also get onto the other Bandit, hopefully, because I'm waiting for some bearings for it as well, so that I can get that frame together at last and show you a running, well, not a running, but a rolling chassis. That would be nice, wouldn't it? I've ordered a shock for my good Bandit. I need to get a shock for my 600. I won't say it's my bad Bandit, but it's not going to be as good as my school one is. What else have I ordered? I'm still waiting for quite a few bits and pieces. A sprocket for the back for the 600 stroke 1200 conversion, and a few other bits and pieces. But I hope you enjoyed the episode. Not very exciting, just run-of-the-mill stuff really, but a few issues along the way. I didn't film much of the back end swap because, like I say, YouTube doesn't like swearing very much, so I thought probably best not to. But it took me the best part of a day because I can't really do much at once because of my knees. But I'm not whinging about it. That's just the way it is. So that's part 13 out of the way. Part 14, we will have a rolling chassis for the good Bandit, he says, and we'll have a front end on the 600, and hopefully it'll be up and running, and I'll be probably. Well, I'd like to get some painting done as well, but I'm still waiting for the graphics guy to get back to me about my decals. So I'm going to chase him up as soon as I finish this, and then we'll hopefully give him a prod. Hopefully I'll get some action going. But that's about it for this week. Just another short video, like I said, but hopefully it was entertaining in some way for you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. Catch you for the next one. Bye now.